Have you ever heard a story so incredible it sounds like a legend? A tale of a king and his 300 warriors standing against an army of 1,000,000. This isn't a myth. This is the story of Leonidas, the fearless king of Sparta, and the legendary Battle of Thermopylae. Our story begins in ancient Greece, a land of rival city-states. Among them, Sparta was unique. It was a society forged in discipline, where every citizen was a soldier from birth. Boys were taken from their homes at age 7 to endure the ergoge, a brutal training regimen designed to create the world's most formidable warriors. They learned to endure pain, hunger, and hardship, all in the service of Sparta. It was in this crucible of iron will that a king named Leonidas was forged. Unlike many kings who inherited their thrones and lived in luxury, Leonidas earned his crown through the same grueling process as every other Spartan. He was a king who had fought, bled, and starved alongside his men. He was not just their ruler, he was one of them. This bond, this shared experience, would be the foundation of the unwavering loyalty he commanded. Meanwhile, to the east, the vast Persian Empire, under the ambitious King Xerxes, was casting a long shadow over Greece. Xerxes, seeking to avenge his father's defeat a decade earlier at Marathon, assembled one of the largest armies the ancient world had ever seen. His goal was not just conquest. It was the complete subjugation of the Greek city-states. As the Persian tide swept across the land, panic gripped Greece. Messengers from Xerxes demanded earth and water, the traditional symbols of surrender. Many cities, intimidated by the sheer size of the Persian force, submitted, but when the messengers arrived in Sparta, they were met with defiant silence and a pointed gesture towards a deep well. The message was clear: Sparta would not bow. A council of Greek states was held. The strategy was desperate. They needed to find a choke point, a place where the massive Persian army's numbers would count for nothing. The choice fell upon a narrow coastal pass known as Thermopylae, meaning the hot gates. Here, the mountains met the sea, creating a bottleneck so narrow that only a few men could fight abreast. It was the perfect place to make a stand. But there was a problem. It was the time of the Carnia, a sacred Spartan festival during which warfare was forbidden. The Spartan elders, bound by religious law, would only sanction a small, token force to go. Leonidas, knowing the fate of Greece hung in the balance, made a fateful decision. He would lead this force himself. He handpicked 300 of his finest warriors, all of whom were fathers with living sons, ensuring their family lines would not be extinguished. This was not a mission of victory. It was a mission of sacrifice. Before leaving Sparta, Leonidas's wife, Gorgo, asked him what she should do. His reply was simple and spoke volumes about the Spartan mindset: marry a good man and bear good children. He knew he was walking towards his end, but his duty to Sparta and to Greece came first. So, with his 300 Spartans and a few thousand other Greek allies, Leonidas marched to Thermopylae. When they arrived, the sight that greeted them was staggering. The Persian camp stretched as far as the eye could see, a sea of tents and soldiers that seemed to blot out the horizon. Xerxes, amused by the tiny Greek force, sent a scout. The scout returned, reporting that the Spartans were not panicking, but calmly combing their long hair and exercising. Confused, Xerxes waited for days, believing the Greeks would surely retreat in the face of his overwhelming numbers. They did not. Finally, he sent a demand for their surrender. "Lay down your arms," the messenger commanded. Leonidas' infamous reply echoed through history: "Molan Labe, come and get them." The battle began. For 2 days, Xerxes threw wave after wave of his elite troops, including his own royal guard, the Immortals, against the Greek phalanx. But in the narrow pass, the Persian numbers were useless. The Spartans, with their long spears, heavy bronze shields, and lifetime of training, were an unbreakable wall of flesh and steel. They fought with a ferocity the Persians had never witnessed. The ground became slick with the blood of thousands of fallen invaders, while the Greek losses were minimal. The Spartans, disciplined even in the heat of battle, would feign retreat, drawing the Persians into the pass, only to turn and cut them down. Xerxes, watching from his throne on a nearby hill, was said to have leaped to his feet in frustration and fear multiple times. His mighty army was being held at bay by a handful of men. It seemed impossible, but the tide was about to turn. A local Greek resident, named Ephialtes, seeking reward and favor from the Persian king, revealed a hidden path that went around the mountains and behind the Greek position. The path of betrayal. When Leonidas learned that his position was compromised, he knew the end was near. He called a council of war. He ordered the majority of the Greek allies to retreat and warn the other cities to prepare for the battles to come. He and his 300 Spartans, along with a contingent of Thespians who refused to leave, would stay and fight to the last man. Their stand was no longer about holding the pass. It was about buying time for the rest of Greece and creating a legend that would inspire generations to fight for their freedom. On the third and final day, the Spartans knew they would not see the sunset. They were surrounded, fighting enemies from both the front and the rear. Leonidas, fighting at the very front, fell. A fierce struggle erupted over his body, with the remaining Spartans determined to protect their king even in death. They fought with spears, then with broken swords, and finally, with their bare hands and teeth, until every single one of them was overwhelmed. They fell, but they did not fail. The stand at Thermopylae became a rallying cry for all of Greece. The 3 days Leonidas brought allowed the Greek navy to prepare, leading to a decisive victory at the Battle of Salamis. Inspired by the sacrifice of the 300, the united Greek forces would later crush the Persian army at the Battle of Plataea, ending the invasion for good. The story of Leonidas and his 300 is more than just a battle. It's a testament to the power of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable will to defend one's freedom against impossible odds. A monument was later erected at Thermopylae, with an inscription that reads, "Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie." Leonidas's legacy teaches us that true strength isn't just about numbers or power, but about the conviction in your heart and the courage to stand for what you believe in, even when you stand alone. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of heroes from history. Let me know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see next. Until then, stay curious.